I'm sure Waziri Duale has even a more updated data. I think it's now 32 million plus. But as per the preparation of this document, 31.2 million Kenyans are now registered under the Social Health Authority, compared to about 8 million under the defunct NHIF. The other thing that I wanted to mention is this: the financial year 25-26, the government allocated 4 billion for settlement of outstanding National Hospital Insurance Fund pending bills, historical bills that were incurred in the previous administrations. We settled 4 billion to allow our healthcare to run smoothly without challenges. Primary healthcare networks have been established and operationalized. 228 primary care networks have been established and operationalized. 107,831 community health promoters have been recruited and trained stipends. 16,000 medical interns have undergone internship. 1,000 kits to be used by CHPs have been procured. Next slide. Now, I think inakula masaa yangu. Can we do it better? What is the church? There it is okay. But I want them to be seeing, so I would have taken that, but then, so, could you help us by fixing this problem? So that, yeah. Now, let's move to the next piece. It's affordable housing program. The government is accelerating implementation of the affordable housing program to address the following. First, housing.
Just
yes,
one
Your
minute,
Excellency.
John, again, members, just allow me to keep interjecting. You know, on the previous slide, can you go back, or it will be difficult?
Can you go back, or it will take?
On the previous slide, it is also important to note how many Kenyans have been treated by SHA. How many Kenyans? 8.7 million Kenyans. Please, 8.7 million Kenyans have been treated by SHA. And how much money have we paid to hospitals? 178 billion in 18 months. 178 billion shillings have been paid to health facilities, dispensaries, hospitals. Today, if you go to any dispensary, they will tell you how much money they have received from SHA. Something that has never happened in previous administrations. The governor, you know, and good people, you know, I had one character, you know, SHA is not a registration bureau, you know. It's because they don't know the importance of data, you know. We not only have data on how many Kenyans have registered, we have data on how much money we have paid, we have data on how many Kenyans have been treated, and the hospitals will give you information on what SHA is doing to our health facilities. So record, 178 billion so far paid by SHA in 1.5 years. That is money that it would have taken NHIF 6 years to pay. They would have taken 6 years to pay. We now pay 12 billion shillings every month to health facilities across Kenya.
Thank you again, Your Excellency. Can we now move to the next? The next presentation is on affordable housing. And here, You are still struggling with it. This is a government program that is being implemented to address the following. One is the housing deficit. We are all aware that we have had challenges. We still have challenges with housing deficit in this country, especially decent housing. The other objective was to create jobs and stimulate local manufacturing by supporting MSMEs, strengthening county economies, and improving the quality of life of millions of Kenyans. So those are the objectives that the housing program is meant to address. Housing deficit, creating jobs, stimulating manufacturing or local manufacturing, and through support to SMEs, MSMEs, and strengthening county economies, improving quality of life. So what has the government achieved in all the 47 counties? You will find an affordable housing program, very active in all the 47 counties. But now the data is as follows. We have a total of 277,281 housing units which have either been completed or are under implementation nationwide as at May 2026. Affordable housing program has successfully aggregated demand through the Boma Yangu platform, where more than 1 million Kenyans have now registered their interest in home ownership. 1 million Kenyans. Compare that with the data again that we have, that the only mortgage accounts active in this country is 30,000. 30,000. But today we are talking about 1 million Kenyans ready to own homes in this country. Is that not transformation? Government has also packaged 177,686 student beds for development across universities and colleges nationwide. And I think this is covering the whole country, where we have universities and colleges. Next, you can see another number there, 22,000 institutional housing units for our disciplined forces, teachers, healthcare workers, and other public servants are also under construction. Since 2022, more than 640,000 jobs have been created across the housing value chain. But Your Excellency, I want to just correct this number a bit. This was as of January, 640, when we had only about 150,000 housing projects under construction. With the current number, we are estimating, and this in consultation with the housing department, we are estimating about 1.1 million jobs having been created in this sector from various value chain, through construction activities, through professional services, manufacturing, logistics, and supporting industries. And if you look, I wish I had more time to explain what we have seen in the manufacturing sector, which was growing at almost a negative, now has picked up at 4.6%. And the same with housing sector, construction sector. It is all reflected in this program together with the road construction that is ongoing in the country. 5,000 graduate interns have been deployed across projects nationwide and thousands more employed directly on construction sites. A total of not less than 476 markets have been packaged for development nationwide, with 354 of them already under implementation and across all constituencies in the Republic. Through the Nairobi River Regeneration Program, also approximately 44,000 young people are engaged in environmental restoration, river cleanup, tree planting, and climate resilience interventions. And I can go on and on, but I want to mention that more than 11 billion has been earmarked for MSMEs and Juakali enterprises participating in housing and market programs. That is only for housing and market programs. And finally, through recognition of prior learning initiative, more than 2,000 artisans have been certified, enabling them to access formal contracts. So those are data, those are statistics that you can quote with authority. On micro, small, and medium enterprises, very quickly, I want to mention that again, we are aware that MSMEs is the backbone of our economy. It accounts for 98% of businesses, providing approximately 15 million jobs to our people and contributing not less than 40% to our GDP. MSMEs, what we may call Juakali. But the government has moved deliberately to put affordable credit, markets, and shared infrastructure directly into the hands of the enterprises and young people at the base of the economy. So when you are asked, what is the government doing for the people down the bottom? What is the government doing to young people? You can confidently say that this sector, which is contributing 98% to our, which is contributing 40% to our GDP and employing 15 million people, there has been deliberate efforts by the government to give affordable credits, do or construct markets to provide dignity where they're doing businesses, and shared infrastructure. So this is what has been done. Since 2022, through Hustler Fund, the government has disbursed 87 billion to 28 million accounts and assigned a formal credit history to 4.5 million people. In fact, those who were previously unscored, now heading to about 7 million, have been removed from being blacklisted to now they are Kenyans who can again engage in borrowing like any other Kenyan. Under Nyota program, more than 5.6 billion has been invested in business skills training, mentorship, and startup capital, benefiting at least 84 youths in each of the country's 1,450 wards, and 214 industrial development centers equipped in all constituencies and open regional markets to more than 1,100 enterprises, creating over 23,000 direct and indirect jobs. Let's move to the next. So that is under MSMEs. The next one is the digital superhighway and creative economy. This is harnessing digital opportunities. Let's just move to the next. Next. So in support of the creative economy, the government has established 3 film hubs in Dedan Kimathi University in Nyeri. There's another one in Bomet and a third one in Migori counties, and fully equipped them with film production equipment. Additionally, a cinema theater has been established at Dedan Kimathi University of Technology with a capacity of 150 audiences. Further, to reach more youth, particularly in rural areas, a cinema mashinani program has been also rolled out. And the government has also facilitated the production of 1,745 local and foreign films in Kenya and trained 1,847 filmmakers. I know there is a lot of literature on how we have expanded the network through the breadth, but I just picked those particular ones for this discussion because of the time constraint. Let's move to the next. Now, let me now talk about transport, blue economy, energy, and industry as one heading. Here, again, the government has sustained investment since 2022, which has improved infrastructure development, thereby enhancing connectivity and boosting manufacturing and facilitating trade. Expansion of road network across the country, with over 2,669 kilometers of new roads constructed and completed. This is what has been completed of roads. But a lot of road construction is still ongoing. And 132,000 kilometers have been maintained. Private capital mobilization has also been channeled in this program. Approximately 96 billion in private capital was mobilized through PPPs in the financial year 25-26, including the one by CRBC and NSSF investment in the Rironi, Gilgil, and the Nairobi, Mai Mahiu, Naivasha sections of the Nairobi-Nakuru Mau Summit Highway. And I think some of us, while driving here, if you have never noticed what is happening, you must have seen. This to me is very important because we have talked about inclusivity here. And we have said that it is this broad-based government that is the only government which is thinking about inclusivity. Construction of 750 kilometers northern Kenya Gateway Corridor to boost connectivity and trade in 3 expansive counties of Isiolo, Wajir, and Mandera. These are 3 counties which had not seen proper tarmac road cutting across. This to me is a major achievement for this government. Even if we were to forget anything else, please speak to this, because this is the kind of inclusivity that we need in this country. Next slide. Under blue economy, the government has made strides in blue economy, and we have made gains, including fish landing sites. At the coast, 5 coastal counties have modern landing sites under development. Mwaepe, I hope I've pronounced it correctly, Waziri Mvuria could help me. Kwale, 255 million shillings. Kidongo in Mombasa. There is Kilifi Central in Kilifi. Kipini in Tana River, again with the amounts, and Mokowe in Lamu with an amount of 209 million. These projects are scheduled. I think now they should be concluded because they were scheduled for completion in June.
Just 1 minute. Let's go back to that roads place.
Go back to roads.
On the roads agenda, friends, I think we have 4 issues that we have done on the roads agenda. Number 1, all of us here know that when we came into office, all the roads were stalled. Is that correct? We used innovative means to unlock the many kilometers of roads that are stalled. Today, all the roads that were stalled, there is, at least in 90% of the places, the roads are continuing, correct? That's number 1. Number 2, we have undertaken some of the major infrastructure programs around transport. When we came into office in 2022, the Kenol-Maroa dual carriageway was 30% done. Is that correct? Today, it is 95, 98% done, all the way to Nyeri. Number 2, the Great Northern Road from Isiolo to Mandera is under construction. We should claim credit for it. No other administration has put 100 billion to do that road, right? Number 3, we now have the road from Rironi to Mau Summit, and already, even as that road is going on, we are already in discussion on the extension from Mau Summit to Malaba, both through Eldoret and through Kericho Kisumu. That Kericho Kisumu Busia, yeah? So that road is on course. This one is under construction. We have made a commitment that by June next year, we will be in Mau Summit, and then as we launch that road, we will also launch the beginning of the construction of the other one, all the way to Malaba. And then number 4, the SGR that was stranded somewhere near where we are now, here in Narok, yeah? All of you now know that that construction has begun, going through Bomet, Kisii, Kisumu, Bungoma, all the way to Malaba. All right? That is some of the signature transport programs that we have done under this administration. And we should be very, very proud of it. Not to mention, the people in the coast know the road from Lamu to Ijara, coming again all the way to Isiolo. That road, when we came into office, it had been contracted to be a Maram road. We came and changed Now, 250 kilometers of it has been done under tarmac, and we are continuing, and we will complete that way. So, again, the reason why some of us don't speak is because we have been intimidated as though we have done nothing. Which other administration has done what we have done? And you see, the media people keep telling me, Mr. President, your people refuse to come to the media houses. So we are bombarded with opposition nonsense, propaganda, fake news, and misinformation when we have a credible record that nobody can dispute. If we talk about Kenol Maroa, there are people from Kenol Maroa Road who are here. That road has been done, is it or not? If we do the one from Lamu, Rueda is here. Hiyo ya Lamu sinaendelea na barabara ya Lamu. Hii ya kutoka hapa Rironi, si hata nyinyi mmeona kwa macho yenu. Ile ya reli, sinaendelea hiyo ya reli. Sasa hii story tunaambiwa hii fitina ni ya nini? Why don't we speak about our record? Sawa sawa. So tutaongea hiyo maneno mengine baadaye. Tuendelee.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I could have made it back. Now, on blue economy, I think I've spoken about the coastal counties. This broad-based government or administration has also pursued a deliberate strategy to revive inland water transport on Lake Victoria, repositioning the lake as a driver of regional trade, fisheries, tourism, and economic inclusion. In Busia, CO ports is over 60% complete in terms, and the one in Migori, that is Muhuru Bay port, have been done as piers. Homa Bay, the second phase of the pier is ongoing, and there are three actually. There is Usenge Beach, and there is the Sena Island, the Sena one in Mfangano, and Rusinga, with an allocation of 500 million each to do and improve the lake transport from Busia all the way to Migori. Next slide. Under the energy sector, again here, apart from the National Infrastructure Fund, which will invest a lot in improving our generation of electricity to at least 10,000 megawatts, we have made some strides. One, now the installed electricity generation capacity has reached 3,272, but we wanted to move to not less than 10,000 megawatts. In grid strengthening, 75 kilometers of transmission lines and associated substations have been constructed, 200 kilometers of transmission lines energized, including the Lesos, Kabarnet, Kitui Wote, and then Sondu Homa Bay lines. 330 kilometers of distribution lines and 7 associated substations completed. In terms of access expansion, the number of customers connected now to electricity has risen from 8.9 million in 2022 to 10.2 million. That is additional 1.3 million. Industrialization is currently gaining momentum with 10 county aggregation and industrial parks already constructed over the last 3 years to support value addition and create employment opportunities across the counties. And there are others also which are still under construction together with the county governments. Education. Just move to the next slide. Access to education and skills, I cannot overemphasize, is very key to the success and economic progress of a country. What have we done in this sector? To enhance support to our children who are learning by giving them more teachers, because there cannot be education without teachers in classrooms. 100,000 teachers have been recruited in the last 4 years to strengthen teaching capacity and improve learner outcomes. 100,000. I keep on saying that there is no administration which has employed more than 5,000 teachers per year. If you divide 100,000 by 4 years, that is 25,000 teachers per year. And this has improved the teacher-learner ratio from 1 to 49 to now 1 to 29. 1 to 45 to now 1 to 29. Meaning now one teacher is attending to fewer students as compared to 2022. Meaning there is more quality education. And we are going to employ another 16,000 at least in the next 1 year, hopefully. Timely and consistently release, contrary to what has been put out there, timely and consistent release of capitation funds to support learning in basic education institutions. There is no single term that has been opened without National Treasury releasing money to schools. We have been releasing money to schools before the opening. There can be debate about whether the budget is sufficient or not. But whatever is in the budget, we release. And in fact, first term, we release 50%. Second term, it is 30%. And third term is always 20%. Construction of 23,000 classrooms and commencement of 1,600 laboratories in partnership with NGCDF to support CBC implementation. And NGCDF, Your Excellency, I want to report that at least for the first time in the history, I think since CDF was formed, we released the full amount before the end of the financial year. We have revitalized technical and vocational education and training with enrollment increasing from 562,000 in 2002 trainees to 825,000 trainees in 2025. In this financial year, the government has allocated 784 billion for education. This figure has risen from 526 billion in 2022. It is now 784. So when you hear the opposition talking about us defunding education, either they don't know the meaning of defunding or they are being very mean and economical with the truth. The truth is that allocation to education in this country has risen in the past 4 years from 526 billion to 784 billion. And I've given some of the highlights, some of the figures there. Let's move to the next slide. Under sports, and very quickly, here you all know Talanta Hela program, which aims to, among other things, promote talents and among the youth and revitalize the creative economy through identifying, nurturing, and monetization of youth talents in sports. And sports and health and arts infrastructure development also is another initiative. And we are upgrading of existing stadia and completion of regional stadia across the country in preparation with AFCON. 33,000 new stadia are under construction across the country before I come to the Raila Odinga Talanta Stadium. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. Yes. Now, up there, Rebecca Miano should be very proud of herself. What is happening? International arrivals grew from only 870,000 in 2021 to what we have today, 2,550,000 tourists in 2025. That's why you can see our foreign exchange are very healthy, because we are getting a lot of inflow of forex in the country. A rise which is approximately 193%, with hotel bed nights up by 12.6%. Talanta Sports City, the 60,000 seat Raila Odinga International Stadium at Jamhuri, Nairobi, is over 90% complete as of mid-2026, which is ahead of co-hosting of AFCON or 2027 with Uganda and Tanzania. Stadia and culture, rehabilitation of more international sports center Kasarani, which is 48,000 capacity, is going on, and Nyayo National Stadium plus AFCON training venues upgrades is going on. I mentioned about over 33 stadia being constructed across the country, something that has never happened in this country. When I think it was the Jubilee government when they were campaigning and they talked of having a stadium in every county, I was like, are they mad, you know? I could not see how that would happen. And by the way, Jubilee never implemented that. So I thought I was vindicated. Only to see that it is possible. Now, if we have done 33, what can stop us from doing another 14? So it is achievable. But let me talk also, Bomas of Kenya is expanding. I think you can see what is happening at the Bomas of Kenya. Since independence, we have KICC as the only conference facility, something that has been overtaken by events. Now we are going to have a state-of-the-art and international conference facility. Let's move to the next one. Strong devolution. Here we'll just take a minute because I know my brother will speak to this. Just move to the next slide very quickly. Government has ensured consistent and timely disbursement of resources to county governments. We committed ourselves that we will make sure that counties are not starved of funds, that we release the county funds. In fact, at the Treasury, it is our standard rule that before anything is done, we must make sure that the funding to counties is effected. So, look, since 2022, funding to county governments has steadily increased, with the equitable share to counties increasing from 370 billion in 2022-2023 budget to now 428 billion in 2026-2027 budget. I know we are aiming at 450, but look at the strides that we have made. The national government has also increased additional allocations to the 47 county governments. This, together with the shareable revenue and the donor proceeds, has pushed total county allocation from 392 billion in the financial year 22-23 to 502 billion in 25-26. I think I also wanted to mention this. This is very important. Today, with the national government support under the shared functions, deliveries by our mothers in level 2 and 3, which were initially not covered, are now fully being paid for, supported fully. You will allow me, because I'm getting into even a more juicy part. If you could just give me another 3 minutes, I go to the next topic, which is the public debt. That is something, Senator Mazayo, that I cannot go without talking about. Because now all this I've been speaking for my colleagues. Now I should speak for myself and my ministry. Public debt reforms. Ladies and gentlemen, look at where we were. In fact, this is what I want to talk about. The danger Kenya was in 2022-23. That is the baseline. The danger we were in. I said we were on a cliff. One mistake, we were going to tip. That is why IMF classified Kenya among Kenya among 5 other nations in the continent, which were going to default. It was not about if, it was about when. All the 5 have defaulted. It's only Kenya which survived. And you see, this is where we were. I've just presented to you where we were in 2022-2023. The debt to GDP ratio was at 72%. If the government was to borrow 91-day treasury bill, the government was paying 16%. This even went up at one point because of the up to 18. Our exchange rate at this time, which went up even up to 160, was 156 to the dollar. At this time, we had a Eurobond default risk, real, $2 billion US, which was to be paid as a bullet payment in the month of June 2024. Up to this time, the government had no strategy on how this was going to be paid. That is why there was panic. The investors lost confidence in Kenya. The yield on our bonds shot up. In fact, the shilling depreciated to 160. That is what we were talking about. Because of this panic, because of this possible default. And debt service to revenue ratio was at 60%, meaning every shilling we were collecting, 60 cents was going to debt service. And finally, this was the fiscal deficit, 8.8%. So what was the government's response? Go to the next slide. The government's response was this. IMF was supposed to support the government. It took time. No one knew whether they were going to support the government. Fortunately, the team which was in government that time, I was not there, for full disclosure, took a decision that saved this country. In the month of February, an opportunity was seen that we could go to the market and refinance this debt. So the government went and refinanced the Eurobond up to 75% in February. That is what saved our economy from total collapse. Because with 1.5 billion paid, which was a bullet payment, it was 2 billion coming in June, 1.5 was paid in February, it eased pressure on the economy immediately. And that is how we survived. So only 500 million remained for the government to pay in June. So that was easy. Then the confidence came back. I will show you that. But then, after now I'd come in, we sat down with the president, and we said that, look, there are people who are in these offices. I remember asking the president, Your Excellency, what was happening with these people who are in the offices this time? 2 billion bullet payment is coming in June, and you have no plan. Let me add, you have no clue. And probably you have no strategy on how to settle that. And you are just hoping that you are leaving office and another person will deal with that problem. That is carelessness, that is recklessness. Now, we sat down and looked at our debt portfolio and profile. Yeah. We looked at the portfolio of debts that we had, and we saw that in 2027, we have another big debt to pay. Another one in 2028 to pay. Another one in 2031 to pay. Another one in 2032 to pay. Now, in May 2027, you have a debt of 900 million US dollars. If you don't act immediately, then something is wrong with you. In 2028, you have another 1 billion US dollars to pay. If you don't act, because it will just be a few months after election, you have a problem. And then I can go on and on. So what did we do? In March 2025, we decided to manage part of this debt of 900 million. We paid 579 million using what we call debt buyback. And so we have a balance of 320 million, which we continued further in October to reduce further by another 90 million US dollars. And we also took out 628 million of the 2028 debts, which would have fallen due. We took out 628 of the $1 billion. And then, in February this year, we went a step further to take out parts of the 2028 debts and go a step further to 2032. So we have also reduced the 2032 debts. The only debt that we left was 2031 debt because the rates were not very good. So we left it to look at it badai, because we didn't want to go for a more expensive debt for a cheaper one. So, colleagues, now this is what we have done. We had, in June 2024, we had what we call the critical. It was very critical. We eliminated that risk. We have managed, through all these things that we have done, to strengthen Kenya shillings by 17%. From 156 to 129 today, 129.3. We have managed to reduce cost, because the moment we paid these maturing debts, what happened? The yield on our debts went down. Meaning now Kenya is paying lesser in terms of servicing these Eurobonds because of the actions that we took. There is no more panic that Kenya would default. Our foreign exchange, this figure is not correct. This is an old figure. It is now 6.4 months of import cover at 15.3 billion. Bilaterally also, we decided to do something that I hear no country has ever done, that we got into bilateral engagement with China. I remember Your Excellency spoke with the leader of China. Yeah, but it is okay. This is now. I'm being reminded you are alive. But that is okay, because it's now a story that is out there. We managed to discuss for mutual benefit to the two countries. The president went and discussed with the leader there. He sent me to lead a team. We negotiated in a way that would not compromise or even lead to debt restructuring. So what did we do? We managed to get annual savings. Let me not go into the details because it will bore you. Every year we are saving $215 million on the SGR loans, the three of them that we took. Okay? Credit ratings. Our credit rating has moved. Moody's used to rate us at CAA1. They have upgraded us to B-. And that was January this year. No, they have upgraded us to B3, sorry. And then we have this B- has moved to B. This is S&P, that is Standard & Poor. Stable economy. Now that is the rating that we have. Debt service to export, I told you, was at 60%. Now the debt service to exports has gone down from 29 to 13%. Meaning now, our debt as a numerator over denominator, which is export, is smaller, almost less than half. We can comfortably now service our debt using our exports. Then, finally, look at these rates. 91-day T-bill, 16%. Now it is 8.79. Let's move to the next quickly. I think this is basically a repeat of what I've said. Go to the next. Again, go to the next. No, but go back there. Just one comment. On the reforms that we have carried out, there is what we call treasury single accounts. Some of us have heard about it, but they don't know what it is. What this means is we had accounts scattered all over in commercial banks without government having visibility. National Treasury not even knowing how much we have. Presently, now we can see our balances. And I will tell you, Your Excellency, that it has led to this. Look at how much we used to pay central bank, because we used to take overdraft from central bank on shortfalls to service maybe some loans which are falling due quickly. And in this year, 23-24, we even paid 9.6 billion. This is interest on overdrafts that we used to take. Today, it is 3 billion. But listen to this. July, Your Excellency, we have only paid 30 million. In July, 30 million. If we maintain that, it means we'll only pay 360 million shillings for the whole year as overdraft interest. Why? Because now we can see our balances which are lying idle elsewhere in all our accounts. So we don't have to borrow money, and yet we have money in other accounts. Let's move to the next one. Move to the next. Now, this is just a comparison. Debt to GDP ratio 72. Now it is 67 to 68.
John,
yes.
Just wait 1 minute.
Sorry.
Just go back to that single treasury account.
Let's go back to treasury single account.
You know, friends, the issue of treasury single account is a very big and transformational step that we took. Many administrations tried to do this single treasury account, and it was impossible. You know, since Kibaki, it was not possible to do it because there was money being made by people placing government money in different accounts. Now we said, and sometimes you go to the market to borrow money when you have your own money sitting in a bank. You know, it is very foolish. So what we did, we said, we must have visibility of all government money in every account. And before we go to the market to borrow, we use the money we have. If we have money here that is not being used now, it is about next month. We take that money, use it this month, we will find the money for next month. So that, and I must congratulate our good people at Treasury for taking that very bold step. Today, look, in 2023-2024, because we didn't have Treasury single account, we paid 9.6 billion on interest. That has come down to this year, 2026, 3 billion. And he's now telling you, for July, only paid 30 million. Because now the thing is being seamless. This is part of the reforms that nobody will tell you about. Because we are not saying it ourselves. We must say it loudly, you know, so that people know we have transformed the economy of the country. Whatever numbers you see here have not happened by accident. It is because of the reforms that we have carried out in that space. Treasury single account is one big step that we have. So we are being told some other character is saying, because he doesn't know, he says, oh, I'm going to come and do a treasury single account. Hana habari kwamba it is already done.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I know, thank you, Your Excellency. Now, this one is just a comparison. All the things that I talked about, debt to GDP ratio has improved, you can see. 91-day treasury bill rates gone down. Debt service to export, that is 2022 to 2026. I have explained all this, so we can move to the next. Then just move to the next. I think I've spoken to all this. So in summary, this is what we have done in terms of liability management. We have reduced refinancing risk. We have reduced refinancing risk, which was real, and you saw it. We have improved our debt profile. Fortunately, even the report from IMF that was given to World Bank, which unlocked our DPO, had a positive picture about our debt sustainability. Market confidence signal. This we have also achieved. And by the way, what we did was to convert most bullet maturities into amortizing bonds. Let me just explain it in a second. Most of our Eurobond were bullet payment. Bullet means you pay it once. It was coming and you pay it once. What we have done is to change most of them to amortized bond, that you pay them in bits over a period of time. And most of them, so if you look at our curve, if I had time, you can see it has been smoothened. It was having spikes, very long bars. Near-term cost, again, against long-term, you can move to the next. I think I've explained that. Now, this has led to stable and business-friendly macroeconomic environment. Let's just go to that. I don't want to bore you with the 5% GDP growth. This one you know. Move to the next. Our forex reserves, this is what I was speaking to. 6.4 months, it's not even 6.3. 6.4 months of import cover, which is way above the 3 months, which is the threshold. We are at 6.4. That is why we don't have much shocks, even regardless of what is happening in the global economy. Savings, this I need to speak to. Savings have risen from 1.5 trillion in 2022 to 2.85 trillion by June 2026 in this country. Total savings. Total savings. But His Excellency spoke about NSSF savings. It is now at 700 billion. From what in 2022? 285. The figure that HE talks about was 320, but that was 2023. 2022, it was at 285 billion. Look, NSSF has increased their savings. Now what do they have? 285 to 700. The savings has helped us in supporting the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The Nairobi Securities Exchange crossed the historic 4 trillion market capitalization mark for the first time in history on August 4th of 2026, closing at approximately 4.01 trillion, now making it one of the best performing stock exchanges in the world, globally, not even in Africa, in the world. In fact, in 2024, we became the best in Africa. You can move on. I think I've explained all this. Inflation, let me speak to inflation. Inflation has stayed relatively within the 7.5 to 2.5 plus, to 5, which is 2.5 up or 2.5 down. But in the month of May, we had, in April, it was 5.6. This was up from 4.4 the previous month. Then it went to 6.7 in May. But it came down to 6.4 in June. In July, it was 6.5. Meaning, even with the problem that we are facing in the Middle East, we can still be able to manage our inflation within the range. And we are expecting this to remain within target. Move on so that we can finish. Now, I only want to explain this graph. Credit to private sector. I've heard people say that we are starving private sector of resources, that what are we doing to make sure that people have money in their pockets. The story is different. Credit to private sector from around May 2024, this is the pattern, has been going down. Mpaka it was negative at one point in January 2025. We were really struggling for banks to give private sector money. But this has recovered, you can see. Today we are talking about 9.3% in May growth in credit to private sector, meaning banks and financial institutions are giving more money to the private sector at a positive growth, almost now hitting double digits. So this, again, is not just happening by chance. You can even see the interest rates have gone down. And this I will not say here, but what National Infrastructure Fund has also done, we may end up with more credit at double digits to the private sector because there will be liquidity in the market. Let's move and we conclude. Yeah, so this is just more explanation on the same. Move on. I think we have explained it basically this because of the time. Let's move on. In the interest of time. Where have you? You've come back. Go on to the next slide. The next. Of course, our exchange rate, I not overemphasize. That one I'd explained. I've explained Nairobi Securities Exchange, but let me just repeat it. That Kenya's capital markets have crossed 4 trillion in market capitalization for the first time in the history of this country by August 4th, 2026. Total listed company value has also grown by more than 1 trillion since January this year alone. And this is clearly demonstrating investor confidence. From one of the world's weakest markets from 2023, before 2023, today we became the Africa's best performing exchange in 2024 and the second best in 2025. Move on. Of course, that is talking about the capital markets. The IPO that we issued. Now, move to the next. The one, yes, this one. FDI inflows. This is what can show you and demonstrate the investor confidence. Foreign direct inflows of USD 3.2 billion in 2025, the highest ever recorded, 38% growth from 2.3 billion in 2024. This is not our own data, it is UNCTAD World Investment Report of 2026. FDI has doubled in 3 years from US dollars 1.6 billion in 2022 to 3.2 billion to 2025. Kenya has now been ranked among Africa's top 5 FDI destinations. So when people talk of businesses are fleeing away, where is the data? The data is that we are now among the top attractive investment destination. In fact, in terms of attractiveness, Kenya was ranked the best in Africa in terms of attractiveness. Number 56 in the world. But you can see FDI inflow, you can only talk about Kenya, together with Nigeria, which has also been attracting some inflows, Ethiopia, Uganda, and I think Egypt. Yeah, I don't see where Egypt, oh, Egypt is here. We have also talked about sovereign wealth fund. This one, Parliament, I don't want to bore you with this. You are the ones who passed legislation to create a sovereign wealth fund, and you help us to create NIF fund. So I don't want to belabor the point. You know the three areas that sovereign wealth fund is supposed to address. Let's move on. I think, let me summarize and conclude. Your Excellency, I have talked about what this administration has been able to do in the past 4 years. And if you are fair to this administration, who belong to broad-based government, there is no reason why you cannot go out there and talk with confidence where we have brought this country from. We have done a lot of work, but if we are not careful, it will be consumed in the noise of our competitors. You can see, even in public debt alone, which everybody has been talking about, what this government has done. You can speak with authority because it cannot be denied. It is undeniable that this country was at a dangerous place. And now we can breathe and we can confidently say, let me tell you something, which I've shared with His Excellency. Early last year, 2025, one of the senior officials of IMF came, and we had a meeting with him. He's a former minister of Jamaica. We had a meeting with him at Serena Hotel, and he was very categorical and unequivocal. He was telling me, you have to go and restructure your debts. I told him we will not restructure debts. In fact, he thought I was mad. And we agreed with His Excellency, the President, that we will not go for debt restructuring, which other countries were going for. Today, the same guy came and told us, you guys are out of danger. There is no need for debt restructuring. We can move on. So, if someone is telling you that this government has not done much, please speak with authority. If you cannot remember all the figures, at least remember some. Just pick some of them and remember. We will share this presentation because it's a public document. We will give it to our members of the National Assembly, members of the Senate, our governors, anybody who wants this information, we will make it available. Your Excellency, I want to apologize for taking so much time, but that was the presentation of the government to this meeting. Thank you.
Asante sana ndugu yetu Waziri wa Fedha na Mipango ya Uchumi, ndugu yetu John Mbadi. Nafikiria ndio sababu baba alikuchagua kutoka katika ODM ili uende usaidie, na umethibitisha wakilishi huo. Waheshimiwa, nataka kuambia kwamba ikiwa unataka kupata vile vyote ambavyo Mbadi ameongea hapa kwa taarifa, unaweza kuichukua baada ya mkutano umemalizika. Hiyo taarifa hiyo iko tayari, utapitia huko nyuma, utachukua hiyo yote aliyoongea hapa, ili kwa sababu uweze kuisoma na kujua zaidi. Nataka kuchukua nafasi hii vile vile kumuita ndugu yangu mwenyekiti wa COG ambaye pia ni gavana wa Wajir. Karibu sana Ahmed.
Bismillah. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, my party leader, Excellency Governors, Members of Parliament, members of the broad-based family, good afternoon. Your Excellency, I think I should have come before John Batty. It will be such an anticlimax, and I don't want to get you to sleep through my presentation, but I'll try. Your Excellency, and dear colleagues, you know, as a council leadership, we don't make news when we say anything positive about national government. The nature of the relationship that has been created over the last 14 or so years is such that the voice of the leadership of council can only be heard when they lament. So today I'll try not to lament and focus on what has been achieved as a result of collaboration and cooperation, what I call cooperative governance between the national and the county governments of the last 4 years. Please. Go ahead. Your Excellency, the greatest achievement over the last 4 years has not been what either level of government has accomplished independently, but what we have been able to achieve together. More than anything else, I can say we've been able to work together between the two levels of government, reduce friction, confrontation, and that allowed us to achieve a lot. Next. Your Excellency, this year marks 16 years since the promulgation of the Constitution, and about 13.5 years since devolution was actually institutionalized through the formation of county governments. Your Excellency, the data that I'm going to share here is from our open data portal at the Marifa Center of Council. At the Council, we have a team that tracks vital data, just like KNBS does, from counties. And at times, there might be some slight differences here and there. Go ahead, please. It's in the area of health that this collaboration between counties and the national government is best evidenced. In 2023, we signed an IPA, an intergovernmental partnership agreement with the national government. You're going too fast. The slide with the 100,000. Yeah, there. To set up the Community Health Workers Program. Before then, they used to be called Community Health Volunteers. Under this arrangement, we agreed to do a 50-50 co-funding between the national and county governments for CHPs to give them stipends of 5,000 shillings a month and to kit them. So the figure that we see there, the 100,000, is the numbers that were given kits, but the actual figure employed, I think, was in the region of 107,000. These CHPs have become a very critical cog in the delivery of health services, because they're able to reach every village and ensure that there are a link between the health facilities and the communities. They've become very integral to our outreach programs in health. Your Excellency, the next thing is the establishment and operationalization of SHA with all its segments. I know the figure that was quoted before me here was on 228 primary care networks. But according to the data we have, we actually have 277 established and PCNs across the country. What this does is that it has created stronger linkages between communities, primary healthcare facilities, referral services, providing thereby a more integrated platform for delivering healthcare closer to the citizens. As of June 30th, next slide, the number of people across all counties that are registered for SHA was in the region of 31 million. I know 2 months down the road that number could possibly have changed. And payments to healthcare facilities have now increased from an average of 12.7 billion to 21.36 billion that we take out of SHA for only public facilities within counties. Your Excellency, this has been coupled with the creation of what we call the FIF, the Facility Improvement Fund, because there is now constant money flowing every month from SHA to facilities, individual facilities. And much as once in a while we raise issues about delay of payment of claims, actually we're dealing with a positive challenge in our facilities, in that the facilities now have money. They think it's their personal money. The facility in charge at times will even tell the CEC, the Minister for Health, this is my money. And we have counties that have built entire wings of hospitals, such as Homa Bay, I know, out of FIF money. So this is a very good thing, because going forward, every facility in every corner of a county is assured of money, regardless of who the governor is. Your Excellency, they usually say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. All these interventions that have been made are for a purpose: to reduce infant mortality, maternal mortality, increase vaccination rates, increase skill delivery. So I'll just go into a few of those statistics. We have, with the national government, come up with what is called maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response program, MPDSR. This is to actively and consciously monitor which mother is dying in childbirth and which child is being lost in delivery. And the numbers have yielded results, and actually showing that in 2004-2005 fiscal year, there was 2,851 lives lost. That's the number of maternal deaths, compared to 2,656, showing a decrease of about 70%. These numbers, of course, need to come down further. One mother being lost, one child being lost is one too many. But you can see this trend of declining maternal deaths is as a result of the interventions being made in our healthcare systems, the reforms that we are collectively working together on. The number of licensed public facilities across the counties has also increased tremendously. And this data is available on the website, I guess, also of KPMDC. And this only speaks to public facilities. From 4,500 under NHIF to a total of 6,740, an increase of 2,240 now registered under SHA. The number of hospital beds established across counties now stands at 10,104. And this includes, of course, ICU and HDU beds. Next, still in the area of health, when this administration came into office, the medical and service equipment scheme, I think it was commonly referred to as MESS, and I remember Senate saying MESS is a mess, had just lapsed. So the equipment was near obsolete with respect to the useful life, and there was no capacity to fund new equipment by counties. And so the idea of National Equipment Services Program, NESP, was conceptualized by this administration. NESP is now delivering equipment across all the counties, and at least 28 out of the 47 counties have received a number of equipments, including CT scans and MRIs, biochemistry machines, laparoscopic towers, and these are today available in nearly all the level 4 and level 5 hospitals, and for the blood and biochemistry machines even in level 2 and level 3 hospitals. The last cog in the wheel of that reform was the setup of the National Ambulance and Emergency Services, which was launched the other day, which will actually be reimbursing county ambulances for delivering patients to county hospitals. So the question of asking patients rather, to pay for fuel of ambulances or charging them for ambulance service will now be a thing of the past. Moving on, still within the health reform sector, as many as 42,000 digital devices have been deployed across level 2 to level 5 facilities, supporting the transition towards electronic patient records and digital processing of social health authority claims, making it easier also to collate health data because everything is now digital. So, Your Excellency, I think the one area where this collaboration in the last 4 years has really proved very advantageous to the counties and has really improved services to the common man is indeed in the area of health. Governors are usually quite protective of the health space because of the propaganda and the rumor that's always created that there's an attempt to roll it back. But I want to say that these things that we have achieved as demonstrated, and they may not be all the figures that you will require, will not have been achieved if we had not collaborated, from changing legislation to thinking through PPP arrangements for equipments, to the improvements that the administration has made in KEMSA, to programs such as MPDSR. Moving on, Your Excellency, the data of agriculture, I think what Honorable Mbadi gave is a lot more refined than what I'll give. The Council's data shows that, for instance, horticulture generated no less than 216.5 billion, up from 2003.6 billion in 2024. The amounts generated from coffee exports in 2025, for instance, just comparing 2 years, was up by 38.4 billion in 2024. And tea, according to our data, generated as much as 187.1 billion in 2025. Across all counties, food crop production has improved, with paddy rice output increasing from 169,300 tons to 180,000 tons, and maize deliveries slightly to 178,000 tons. And this is data that was all lifted from the last State of Devolution address that we had at the COG, showing that the programs that this administration has consciously thought of, such as the fertilizer program, are impacting on agriculture in all the counties. Your Excellency, agriculture's contribution to the national economy has, as a result, increased from, move a bit faster, 21.2% to 23.2% of GDP. And there are many programs that we run with the national government with respect to agriculture. These programs include, among others, the Food Security Resilience Program in the ASALs and the National Agricultural Value Chain Development in the more arable areas. Agriculture continues to demonstrate the transformative impact of this cooperative governance, and it's having an impact on our economy. Your Excellency, the CS also spoke to the issue of the fertilizer program. It is indeed having an impact, and county governments have expanded the agricultural network extension of services, irrigation development, livestock and market support to take advantage of the support that the national government is giving. With respect to fertilizer procurement, what the counties are reporting is 272,816 bags procured, reaching no less than 305,000 farmers. Both the national and county governments continue to provide certified seeds and seedlings. I remember CS Mbadi was asked about livestock, and he said that the milk data that he has speaks to livestock. I just want to add that across all the 47 counties, at least 6.1 million of livestock has been vaccinated in the period under review. County governments have expanded extension services to livestock farmers as well, reaching almost 2.5 million livestock farmers. Moving a bit faster. In the area of trade and industry, our work in counties begins with registering businesses and giving them permits. We report to Your Excellency that in this period of 4 years alone, county governments have issued over 1 million businesses with trade licenses, demonstrating growing business confidence in the country, because the 47 counties registering local businesses of 1 million actually speaks to the business environment there is. Working with the Ministry of Trade, we have 34 counties that are now developing industrial parks under the County Aggregation and Industrial Park KIPES program, which program also is a collaborative program co-funded by the two levels of government on a 50-50 basis with respect to the construction. And governors have requested, Your Excellency, that the 13 counties that have not been funded so far, I think there's 13 counties that were worried that their funding has been removed in the last budget, that funding be restated, Your Excellency, in the supplementary, because I think this program now is picking up and all the counties don't want to be left behind. But we're working also with the Trade Ministry to operationalize the ones that have been completed. And this program, Your Excellency, is probably the biggest investment in cottage industries since independence. In the area of climate change, the collaboration between the county governments and the national government is also bearing fruit. And here, Your Excellency, there is the financing locally led climate change FLOCA action program across all the 47 counties. This has institutionalized climate governance and dedicated climate financing to the very, very local level, and its impact can be seen in terms of earth dams, in terms of incubation of agricultural farms in even places that are not traditionally crop-producing areas. In the area of water, Your Excellency, the data that we have shows that the distances to save water has substantially reduced from 3.2 kilometers to 2.8 kilometers. This is largely because of investment projects such as the Kenya Water and Sanitation Investment Program, which the Ministry of Water is running with counties. Other programs include the Kenya Water Sanitation and Hygiene Program, KWASH. We also have underground water for ASALS, which is part of the Horn of Africa initiative. These, taken together with the investments that counties are putting in water, has resulted in a reduction of distances to save water. In the area of environment, Your Excellency, counties report that as many as 72.5 million trees have been planted in the last financial year alone across counties. Your Excellency, I've been asked to wind up, but please allow me, I just have a few more slides. The most contentious engagement we usually have, Your Excellency, between counties and national government is during the DORA process, which is counties always asking for more money. Equitable share has increased by more than 45 billion shillings in the last 4 years, and I think that was also demonstrated by CS Mbadi. Counties' own source revenue has also tripled, because the more counties get, the more they're also able to generate their own source revenue. But Your Excellency, more than the increase. More than the increase. I think the engagement has also become a lot more mature. Because this engagement usually begins at IBEC. And I remember, and I think my predecessor, Anne Waiguru, is probably in the room. Anne, I can see you there. Your Excellency, there's a time when during IBEC days, Anne will call me at 7:30 to call in sick. Because she was avoiding to engage with the chair of IBEC then. Now we have no attendance problems at IBEC. We're always there, and all governors attend. Because we have mature discussions under the chairmanship of His Excellency, the Deputy President. Your Excellency, moving on to the general area of intergovernmental relations, the county governments and the national governments have in place at least 42 intergovernmental partnership agreements across all devolved services. We are represented in 32 boards, task forces, and committees, where of necessity, executives at the national and county governments have to meet. And this has sustained intergovernmental engagement and has secured full annual equitable assessments during the last 2 reporting cycles. Members of Parliament may not know that we are represented in boards such as SHA, such as the affordable housing, and this speaks to the collaboration that we have with the national government. Your Excellency, in the area of urban infrastructure and development, at least 200, please move on, at least 202 kilometers of roads have been constructed within 59 municipalities. This is under programs such as Kenya Urban Support Program, KUSUP, and Kenya Informal Sector Program. There has been development of at least 171 kilometers of non-motorized transport infrastructure, provision of 5,250 parking spaces for both private and public transport, construction of 192 kilometers of stormwater drains to mitigate flooding, establishment of 31 kilometers of sewer lines to improve sanitation, creation of 12 recreational facilities, development of at least 12 fire stations in different municipalities, 16 retail markets constructed by counties, 4,533 street lights installed with an additional 81-meter high mast lighting. This is in addition to all the markets and all the street lighting programs that have been undertaken by the affordable housing program in counties. And needless to say, Your Excellency, in many of our counties today, the biggest housing estates that are visible are indeed the affordable housing program houses. In the area of roads, we continue to partner with KURA. In many of our sub-counties today, we're seeing tarmac road for the first time in many, many places. In fact, nearly all the constituency headquarters today can boast of some kilometers of tarmac. And for counties, we have at least 185,000 kilometers of roads that's maintained by the county governments. These are vital to link farmers to markets, children to schools, patients to health facilities. and Your Excellency will be glad if the issue of RMLF and the legal architecture around it can be completed so that there is harmony between members of parliament and the county governments. Please move on. I can see the mere mention of it is attracting some reaction. Let's move on. I think I've spoken to that as well. Just move on. In conclusion, Your Excellency, Your Excellency, and Your Excellency, in conclusion, I want to say this. As we've been told by my party chair, Gladys Wanga, down to 2027 has begun today. And Your Excellency, I began by saying that governors usually feel a bit shy, saying that, national government has done this and that. But I've also said before that as a council, we're not the official opposition. In any case, the official opposition today is ODM, and they're here with us. I think for this 1 year as governors, it will be fair that we speak more of the collaboration that we've had with the national government and what we've achieved with respect with that collaboration, and less of what we have not gotten or what we have through real perception been denied. Nearly all the governors in ODM and UDA are pro the broad-based government. We should take advantage of that. Your Excellency, your opponents, and we don't know who your opponent is as of now, but is one, will try and use devolution and the strengthening and deepening of it as a promise for post-2027 elections. As the Council, we feel that this has been the most pro-devolution government or administration there has been. And Your Excellency, I'm licensed to say that because I think I'm the governor who has served longest in the leadership of council, having served as 2 years, as vice chair for 2 years, and 2 years as chair of council. And I'm sure my sister Anne will agree with me. What we need to do, Your Excellency, then, I've not spoken to ECD, but there's much that we've done in the area of education. I just want to wind up because this gentleman keeps knocking on my door. What we need to do, Your Excellency, going forward, for the politics of things, and Gladys has spoken to us, is one, to speak at the mountaintops and everywhere, but two, to reduce cannibalization into each other. As UDA and ODM, and discuss the things that are likely to divide us in boardrooms rather than in rallies. And two, also I don't see why ODM and UDA will take each other.
Let us have some order.
Let me go on.
No, everybody will have a chance.
I'm not talking about county governments and national government. I'm talking about UDA and ODM. I don't know whether ODM has taken UDA to court. I'm not aware. To Your Excellency, also, we need to reduce the so-called kingpin fights, especially in places where broad-based government has a lot of support. In fact, in those places, Your Excellency, what's likely to hurt us more is this kingpin fights than the opposition. Honorable Junet is pointing at Aaron Cheriot. Maybe I have had something else in mind. I want to end it there. And honorable members of parliament, we are not party to the CDF case. No, please. We are not party to the CDF case. If a Kenyan enjoins us as COG, we have to send a lawyer to court. But we have no problem with CDF. We have absolutely no problem with CDF as Council of Governors. I think that debate is well behind us. Your Excellency, I want to assure you that as COG, family of broad-based, we will support you and will support this fight because I agree with you. We must come back as broad-based to power in 2027. The alternative is unimaginable. Your Excellency, some of the governors back there have a placard. They're not demonstrating. They're just reminding me of the issue of pensions. I don't want that to be the only thing that's taken out of what I said. I'll leave it at that, Your Excellency. I thank you all.
Just before Mazzayo, 1 minute, stewards, just 1 minute.
Thank you.
Governor has really spoken to the heart of our administration's perspective on devolution. And just so that we all understand where we are vis-a-vis devolution. Because sometimes there is a lot of propaganda and fake news. Number one, we made a deliberate decision that we are not going to engage in confrontation with our counties. We made a deliberate decision that instead we are going to be consultative, we're going to be facilitative, and we're going to work together. We have done, in my estimation, about 6 critical things with our county governments. Number one, we have not only increased our shareable revenue that is going to the county. It was 370 billion in 2022, in the 428 billion. A whole 60 billion plus. That is fact. In the last 2 years, I have worked with Mbadi here. Any money owed to counties, in the past, we used to cross the year and then counties are paid on the other side of the year and it becomes spending bills and many things. In the last 3 years, every coin owed to counties was paid before the end of the year. Governors are here. I am sure they agree with us because that is the correct position. When we came into office, we engaged these county governors. Number one, we started with community health promoters. They were all over in some counties, not in some counties. Some of them were trained, some of them were not trained, some of them were getting lit stipend, some of them were not getting lit stipend. We agreed with the counties that we need to standardize. And I must commend the county governors because we sat on a table, we agreed that we are going to engage community health promoters in all counties. We did it, we trained them. As national government, we promised that we are going to kit all these CHPs. We provided equipment for all the CHPs. I must thank the county governments. They paid half the stipend. We paid half the stipend as national government. Again, showing collaboration between our 2 levels of government. We agreed on fertilizer and farmer issues. the county governments participated in our program of registering farmers. We had only 350,000 farmers registered. Because of the collaboration between the national and county governments, we have now a register of 7.2 million farmers. We can now provide interventions, including fertilizer subsidy, on a voucher system that is on a digital platform. We have since eliminated brokers, we have eliminated cartels, because every farmer is registered. The county governments have given us some of the last mile. You saw here that there was a place where we said we have 228 centers where we are distributing fertilizer. Many of those centers are funded and provided by counties, because agriculture is a shared function, actually a devolved function. But because we believe in devolution, we support agriculture. Together, we have seen coffee, sugar, tea, dairy grow together. The third issue that we did together is on the matter of health. Health is devolved, right? But we would have simply walked away as national government and say health is devolved, they can hang out with it. We did not. We engaged with counties. Apart from CHPs, we moved to the next step. We engaged counties here. The former chair, Ann Waiguru, can bear me witness on the development of all the legislation that we took to Parliament. Counties had a say. They participated in all the legislation that Parliament passed. They have participated in all the boards that we have to demonstrate. I'm saying this so that we can demonstrate our commitment to devolution. By supporting counties to deliver on health, we are supporting counties to deliver on their mandate. And we are not so much bothered about whether this is a devolved function and this is not. We are bothered about the citizens who are the ultimate beneficiaries. In any case, there are no county or national citizens. We just have the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. The county governors will confirm that every hospital today, and they have said correctly, in fact, the chair of the Council of Governors has corrected how many primary care networks we have. It is not 220, it's 278. Our ultimate target is 315, so that every part of Kenya is covered. Every hospital today has a digital gadget. Every facility today, we agreed with the counties that we will do a model facility improvement fund, and every county did pass in their legislatures facility improvement funds in every county. That is why today every hospital in the Republic of Kenya receives money directly from SHA for the citizens of Kenya that they treat. That is how we are improving the quality of service in that space. And I am very proud, I say here without fear of any contradiction, of the partnership that we have done with the county governments. We have also agreed with the counties on matters of equipment. You remember, we had an old program which we were calling MESS, and it actually became somehow a mess because we ended up in a lot of problems with it. Some of the equipment was not working, some of the equipment broke down, there was no mechanism of trying to improve it, and we have many difficulties. So, together, again, and I remember Anne and my good friend Ahmed here, we sat down with them as the leaders of the county, of the counties, and we designed a program where, instead of us buying very expensive equipment at very huge financial outlay, and also trying to maintain them, and also trying to service them, we decided that what happens globally is going to happen in Kenya. So innovatively, we now have equipment under the new program that we don't pay for. Manufacturers place those equipments in our hospitals. We only pay for service. It has made it possible for many hospitals in our counties now to have equipment, and those equipment for the service is paid for by SHA. Again, collaboration between the county government and our national government because of matters to do with making service available at the county. Every county government, in fact, there were only 2 counties that had refused initially because I think they didn't understand. But now, every county government has signed an intergovernmental participating agreement, what we call the IPA. We have also agreed on KEMSA. In fact, there is now a further discussion as to whether we can net off, and I think that's a conversation Sakaja has been encouraging me to do. We can agree on how to net off some of the debts between what we owe councils, what they owe KEMSA, and what we can net off so that we can have a smoother program, because we must make sure together there are health commodities in every hospital. And on KIPES, this good man has said what we are doing together. Again, counties gave 250 million, and the national government gave 250 million for the KIPES. We have now in the budget, Waziri Lee, I think 4 billion shillings to equip all the county aggregation and industrial parks that have already been completed, so that we can make them operational, because these will be the first stages of cottage industries in our counties. Again, the county governments, we have worked together on them. And of course, the housing program. We have worked on it together. Some of the land upon which we are building affordable housing is national government. Some of it is county government. But we haven't distinguished this is county, this is national, because the citizens of any county, whether the land is national or county, belong to that county. And therefore, there is no need for us to waste time. Let me answer 2 questions that I see people keep asking. People keep asking, why are we using national government land or county government land to build affordable housing that eventually is sold to individuals? This is my answer to them. National government land or county government land, there is a mechanism in the law for them to be converted. It is legal. And let me ask them, between a national government land or a county government land being used to develop housing which benefit Kenyans, and that same land being left for grabbers to take it or to own it, which one is better? Alternatively, between that land being squattered and slums developing in those pieces of land and it being converted into decent, affordable dwellings for Kenyans, which one is better? For a slum to develop or for an orderly, affordable housing to be developed? Logic. Akili bwana. Sio kama tunaelewana. You know, so because I see many people struggling there saying, oh, why are we? And the third question, which I want to answer, they keep asking, why are you selling to citizens houses that have been built on government land using... In fact, Oburu has made it clear. Oburu says, whatever land, be it by county or national, is held in trust by those governments for the people. So if the people benefit from that piece of land, what is the problem? But let me answer the third question. The third, some people are asking, Why are we selling to citizens land, houses that have been built on government land using resources raised by the people of Kenya? I want to answer them. It is because the resources that we have put together by the people of Kenya using the housing levy and the land upon which we are building this land does not belong to one person. It belongs to all Kenyans. So when you buy, you have to pay because we need the money to do the revolving fund until every other citizen has gotten a house. Then that is when we will stop. But until and unless each and every one of us has got a house, we will continue the revolving fund because in any case, we have a shortage of close to 2.5 million houses, and that shortage is growing. So we are chasing a number that is moving. That is why we must continue building on whatever land that is available and selling to whoever Kenyan wants to be a homeowner. That's how we are going to change our country. And I want, in that particular case, to thank our counties for being part and parcel of the transformation that we have undertaken, whether it is in health, in agriculture, in housing, in county education, national parks, and all the others. And I want to confirm that we do not have friction anymore between the counties and the national government because we have a deputy who will. So continue.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I have a small message for all of us here. Waheshimiwa, tafadhali nisikizeni kidogo. Nisikizeni kidogo. That this information is very important for all of us. That this is a hotel. We are not the only visitors. So please, do not leave your personal belongings or items unattended. We've had a few incidences. And therefore, please do not leave any of your items. For our sisters, your bags. For our brothers and sisters, you have telephones. So don't leave them unattended. Let me take this opportunity now, Your Excellency, to call the Prime Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi. Please come on stage and address us.
Party Leader Uhuru, Deputy President Kindiki, and colleagues in the broad-based. Broad-based hoye! Broad-based hoye! I know I am competing with the low sugar levels, but I will try and be as crisp as possible. Your Excellency, dear colleagues, Kenya's foreign policy gains and growing geopolitical influence is attributed to a sustained program of state and official visits, which are both inbound engagements with foreign heads of state and government, and also outbound and active participation in major multilateral forums. I can hear there are many people of Linda group in here because they are talking too much. So, before we understand that statement that I've made, I think it is important that I profile the chief diplomat of Kenya, and that is His Excellency President William Ruto, who has provided strategic leadership in elevating our country's global standing and advancing our foreign policy posture. So, here is his profile, just partly, not all. President Ruto, 1, is the African Union champion for institutional reforms. President Ruto is the current chair of COMESA. President Ruto is the chair of the Committee of African Heads of State and Government on Climate Change. He has just handed over the chairmanship of the East African Community. President Ruto is also the champion for Africa Continental Free Trade Area in Africa. He is also the champion for pharmaceutical manufacturing for the African Union. I am profiling this so that we can contextualize Kenya's growing stature in the diplomatic field. President Ruto has addressed 2 G7 summits. The 50th G7 summit in Italy in June 2024, and more recently, the 52nd G7 summit in France in June 2026. President Ruto has addressed, since he took over, 4 United Nations General Assemblies from 2022, including the Summit of the Future Plenary, which was very well received. President Ruto has become the second Kenyan head of state to address the Tanzanian parliament in Dodoma. The first one was Daniel Moi in 2002 November, and they called it his exit speech or his farewell speech. President Ruto has become the first Kenyan head of state to address the European Parliament. President Ruto, there have been many state visits to Egypt, but he made the last state visit as a Kenyan head of state to Egypt. There's a difference between official and official state visits. President Ruto has had state visits at the invitation of host heads of state, and in 5 occasions he received full ceremonial honors. South Africa, June 2026, Kazakhstan, May 2026, United States, May 2024, Ghana, April 2024, India, December 2023, and Tanzania in October 2022. So, between September 22nd and June 2026, the head of state of Kenya has had 145 high-level diplomatic engagements, comprising 55 outbound state and official visits, 38 inbound state and official visits, and 52 major international conferences and summits, and this has resulted, just within that period, in the signing of 297 bilateral cooperation instruments with 57 partner countries and international organizations. I'll be sharing this with the Secretariat so that it can also be given to you. I'm just picking the highlights. So, what would be the landmark diplomatic achievements that I can sample? I don't want to give all, I just want to sample. First of all, just a few weeks ago, Kenya has now been elevated to Tier 1 under the African Union. Tier 1 is an enhanced status which gives Nairobi a stronger voice in shaping continental policies, peace funds, and trade agreements. Kenya now joins the continent's highest contributing economies. They normally call them the elite group, including Algeria, Angola, Egypt, Ethiopia, Morocco, Nigeria, and South Africa. This tier group, I think you listened to Mbandi very well. The strong economy has contributed to this, and the strong economy is led by President Ruto. Non-major NATO ally of the United States. President Ruto led a delegation in May 2024 to the United States. I had some governors mentioning how they found it difficult to access certain places. And this was the first visit by an African leader to the White House officially over a period of 16 years. Now, what does non-major NATO ally mean? It means a lot. In security terms, without going into detail, it means that Kenya, if need be, from a security perspective, can have access to more advanced equipment, which would ordinarily not be available to other countries, amongst other things. Kenya-China relations were elevated to an all-weather comprehensive strategic partnership after a state visit by the President. And if you will recall, through these strong engagements, Kenya was able to lead from the front in getting through FOCAC, the declaration that has given Africa access for free preferential trade to the country of China. A very, very big achievement for Kenya and for Africa, and the President has been at the forefront of this. Kenya has signed a SEPA agreement with the United Arab Emirates, a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Kenya has also signed an agreement with the European Union, EPA. Kenya on the economic front, on the political front, has just finished a mission in Haiti, a peacekeeping mission, where Kenya came out to support a strong peace effort in Haiti when everybody globally was running away from that. So we have reasserted our position as a key contributor to peace initiatives globally under the UN framework. Let me very quickly also flag some recent events that are important. Kenya, for the first time, hosted the Africa Forward Summit. This is the first ever collaboration between France, which is a French-speaking country, and Kenya, which is English-speaking. All these fora have always been held in Francophone countries, but for the first time, Kenya hosted this France-Africa Forward Summit in an English-speaking country. This summit brought together, in May 2026, 26 heads of state and government, 5 vice presidents, deputy prime ministers, 3 first ladies, 12 ministers, 23 heads of international organizations, including the United Nations Secretary General, and several non-governmental organizations, and the private sector. Kenya has hosted the Ocean Conference in Mombasa. We thank the team led by Joho for organizing that very well. Kenya has hosted the International Conference on Nuclear Energy in 2026. Kenya hosted the Africa We Build Summit. Kenya hosted the Africa Climate Summit in September 2023, where the Nairobi Declaration was made, and that has become a blueprint for the COP series of international events on environment. As I have said, I've already pointed out the issue of the non-major NATO ally. Kenya has for the first time tabled its sessional paper on foreign affairs in Parliament. Thank you to the parliamentarians, both in the National Assembly and the Senate, for ratifying this and helping us through. We have been able to clear 2 contentious issues in terms of Kenya's position. One is our position on Palestine. It's no longer an issue. Through Parliament, we have clarified that point. Through Parliament, we have also clarified that Kenya stands for the One China policy. It's important that this is taken into account, and it's within the sessional paper. It was approved. Your Excellency, let me very briefly just touch on the aspects of the diaspora. If we can get to the diaspora, because there are quite a number of things here. Let me just focus a little bit about the diaspora. First, ladies and gentlemen, let us remember that this is the first government that has recognized the diaspora by granting a state department. It was never that way. It was always embedded within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, quietly, as a small function, but it is now a state department. Within the diaspora engagement, let me just flag a few milestones. We have created the Diaspora Placement Agency. We have the Diaspora Development Support Office. We have the Kenya Diaspora Investment Strategy, which has been rolled out. We have the placement scale Kazi Maju. And ladies and gentlemen, within the period of 2022 to date, through the Kazi Maju program, working with the diaspora and Ministry of Labor, job placements have hit, for Kenyans abroad, have hit 580,000. Outside, not here. Mobile consular services have been extended across 124 cities in 58 countries, and 16,000 Kenyans have been able to access consular services. And these are growing systematically. Our missions, and I think the AG is working very closely, they'll soon be able to completely do the marriages and everything that some of our people need in different parts of the world, so that we can make it easier. Under the consular services, they've received IDs, they've received support in different ways. Kenya, under the diaspora, has also set up the NCLX Examination Center, and this was a center that was established to be able to certify nurses who wish to go and work in countries like the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. That center is here, they can be licensed here, and then they can proceed. Diaspora has also engaged in quite some substantial evacuation and repatriation. We have, in the last 5 years, helped 5,292 Kenyans in distress from various countries, including Sudan, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, some in Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, UAE, Tanzania, Qatar, and more recently in South Africa, where there was the threat of xenophobia. Kenya has 72 missions globally. In a nutshell, the point I'm trying to put across is that this was not easy to achieve. With the United States, for instance, Kenya has signed a 200 billion health partnership with the United States, courtesy of the President of Kenya leading this from the front. We have had a lot of cooperation in education, culture, and sport, in ICT. More recently, the President made a visit to Belgium, and one of the things he's very close to concluding is, in the ICT sector, is the data adequacy, where Kenya will be categorized through the European standards as one of the most suited nations for matters ICT. That, again, is going to be very, very important in our journey on the digital engagements and advancement. Let me now almost conclude. Dear compatriots, here in Nairobi, President Ruto led the groundbreaking ceremony with the Secretary General of the United Nations to put up a new headquarters complex. The estimated cost for the new UN expansion program is $380 million plus US dollars, which means, when complete, apart from what Kenya is doing in Bomas with their own resources, the United Nations complex here at Gigiri will be able to host a UN General Assembly after the completion. We have had the Middle East crisis. There was some foresight somewhere before the Middle East crisis came through, and maybe this I will pick because I think Mbandi missed it. The G2G arrangement. My dear colleagues, the Middle East crisis has caused massive disruptions in global supply chains. Massive. What has saved us, especially in terms of the steady supply of fuel, we may argue about prices kidogo, but the steady supply of fuel was because Kenya has a G2G arrangement with the oil-producing countries. This one, Mr. President, you drove it. It was not anticipated, the war was not on, but you pushed and said that it's absolutely essential. We hedge our risks, and the best way to hedge our risks was to make sure that we have a G2G. I think it is paying off. And indeed, other countries are now coming on board. Rwanda has come on board to be part of this arrangement. And other countries are copying the template. That's a very serious statement in that area. Now, a few things which I will request, Your Excellency, through you, I want to say that going forward, we need a lot of support from Parliament. A lot of support from Parliament. Parliament is primarily a legislative body. But I want you to fathom Parliament in a competing geopolitical world. Competing geopolitical environment. If Parliament is forward-looking and it's seeing the global picture, we are likely to move much faster as a country in terms of our legislation and the direction we ought to take. So, dear colleagues from Parliament, help us to position Kenya even better through your legislative function. Sometimes our neighbors want to raid. They want to raid functions from here. Whether they are security related, whether they are economic related. And it is because sometimes we are stuck in Parliament through a protracted process. I really plead with you that let's take keener interest and accelerate that which is going to place Kenya at an even higher strategic level. The other thing that I want to appeal, and then I will conclude, is that, oh, by the way, the example I can give is Batuk. Let me just give the example of Batuk. It's more recent, it's in the papers. There are friendly countries who are also waiting for the opportunity for that to falter here so that they can grab it. Because there are spin-offs that emerge. So that is an example that I can just place to you. Your Excellency, let me appeal again to Parliament, and hopefully Leader of Majority, both will help us on this one. We strongly wish to see the public participation bill concluded. When we come to the session on legislation, maybe you can give us a reason to smile on this particular aspect, because it's long overdue and it is delaying a lot of things. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to profile the President I wanted to just highlight a few of those. More are in the document. I don't want to go through it. But if there's a moment I can say I've seen a busy head of state in diplomatic engagement, it's this time around. You cannot have that profile, those engagements, unless you have an active head of state on the diplomatic front. He has literally, and I can say this without blinking, he has literally become not just the voice of Kenya, but the voice of Africa. A consequential diplomatic voice, a consequential diplomatic influence, which we need in order to consolidate Kenya's diplomatic standing even further. Kazi kwenu, kazi kwetu. Finally, let me say thank you, Mr. President. I've enjoyed very much working with you in the foreign docket. It is excellent. We continue looking forward to your support. Tukienda mbele. Asanteni sana.
Haya, tumpigie Mheshimiwa Musalia makofi jameni. Asante sana waziri. Now, we decided to have that session because part of what informs our success, especially in the economic front, is the perception of Kenya globally. It is important that we have a national posture as a country that assists in bringing foreign direct investments into Kenya. People must develop confidence in our country. If you don't remember the many things Musalia has said, remember 5 things. Number 1, in diplomacy, we put the citizens of Kenya first. That is why we have a State Department responsible for Kenyans in the diaspora, because they are our biggest ambassadors. How we treat them, how they speak about our country out there, informs how others think about our country. That's number 1. Number 2, we hosted the first Africa Climate Summit, the first ever hosted by any country. It gave us real status in the continent. It was a global event. It was a continental event. And it was a measure of stamp of approval by the continent, by the sheer attendance. Number 3, Kenya became the African country that was invited by the United States for a state visit in almost 20 years. No other African country had been invited, signifying the place of Kenya in the international community. Number 4, being a Francophone country and understanding the stature of Kenya, France chose to have the Africa Forward Summit hosted by a Francophone country for the first time by an Anglophone country for the first time in French-Africa relations. And it was a big milestone. And number 5, Kenya became the country that attended the G7 this year, representing Africa. And I want to tell you, our standing is in real good shape. So, together with you guys, we have profiled our country positively. Now, we need to wrap up this space. on where we stand today. There is no better person who can connect between the economy, the social issues, education, devolution, diplomacy, better than my deputy. So, he is going to provide the wrap-up for this and to give us now the complete picture. John has spoken to some aspects of it. The chair of Council of Governors has spoken to some aspects of it. Musalia has spoken to some aspects of it. But the complete picture of where we are, the most appropriate person to do that in the program is the Deputy President. The question I want to ask us is, does he do it now? Or we do lunch and then come back so that now, so that we can complete now. By consensus, everybody says he does it now. Mr. Deputy President, you have the floor so that you can now connect the dots. Wale watu, kuna wengine walihepa wakaenda lunch wachache. They need to be mobilized. Pardon? Okay, so we do lunch and then we come back. Okay. Again, we revise consensus. So, Mr. Deputy President, we will go for lunch. Okay, so we break for lunch for 25 minutes. 25. So we will be back here quarter. Son.
Wimbo ninaimba, sio wimbo ni maombi, nikiomba